Hello, hello. Happy Sunday. It's Sunday and don't really have a show, but I thought we'd hang out. It's been a while, and I got to thank y'all. I got to thank you all for being so awesome. First off, if you're new here, Addie is formerly homeless. She's moderator. BG may be joining us. She usually does. She's also formerly homeless. We have some others, Charlie, Lucy, Cosmia, who occasionally join us. But the chat is moderated by homeless or formerly homeless people. And I see Walter is in the group and a bunch of people. But before I start saying hello to everybody, how is the audio? How is the video? Everything going good? Because I kind of just set it up real quick. And somebody, Addie, said happy belated birthday. And that's a perfect segue because I have to say thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Why am I saying thank you? Because you all are awesome. And this year, we raised the money needed to produce Eviction. Again, if you're new here, we did a film, Homeless. We did the distribution. Luciana and Javier are the producers who made Homeless. And here, let me give you, so you guys can be, I'm sorry I'm not more well prepared today. But where are you? Our films. So that is a link to Mobile, which is a film we produced. And it also has Homeless, with Luciana and Javier produced. And because of your support, we're now going to produce a film on eviction. And it's nothing short of a miracle. So first off, as you can see, when you look at Mobile, we did that film really cheap, really, really cheap. Film productions are hundreds of thousands of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars. And, when we produce Mobile really cheap, there's two things that happen. I think it's gotten 400,000 views, which is great, but there's two things that happen. There's people that lived in their car who responded in the comments or to me or Luciana personally saying, thank you. This is the first film that's really got it right. And then there's people that didn't understand what it was like to live in your car who said, gosh, now I have a new understanding. So for us to produce a film on eviction, and the reason Mobile didn't cost a lot, because we didn't need locations, right? Luciana and her friends work for free. Otherwise, we wouldn't be able to do this. It's a miracle that they're willing to work for free. And I'm so grateful. And, to do the film on eviction, we wanted to go up a level. So our film on eviction will be a single mom with two kids being evicted. We're hoping for Las Vegas. But, we can't do everything in Los Angeles because homelessness is everywhere. So, I know Luciana is excited and grateful, and she's been working on this. So it's not that we're just starting, we've been going. But right after, we reached the goal, she messaged me and she was like, I need to talk to more women that went through eviction. So those of you may or may not know that in mobile, Luciana just talked to so many women that were living in her car. She talked to some, men that were living in her car too, but this is on a woman that got evicted. And the experiences for men and women are different. And this is about a mom being evicted and now I've been evicted a couple of times. How many of you have been evicted? I'm sure plenty. And it's just such a Maria is an associate producer, her and one other person. And the, oh gosh, where was I going? I totally lost my mind. And it was such a good point, but I got excited. Maria's in the chat. Katrina, here, I'll put a link. So Mobile is a film on mobile homelessness. And for these films, so here's the thing, is you can reason with people to change and they don't change. But if you can connect them to emotion, that's was it. I asked how many people have been evicted. And Pete says he's been evicted. I'd been evicted twice. One time illegally by LAPD. Gosh, I should tell that story. XX Snow Angel has been evicted. It was such a horrible feeling. The first time we went through the court process and everything, and it was just such a horrible feeling because your housing is connected to it, right? So when you go to court, whatever the judge rules, you're either going to be out on the streets, and it's so important for, the cost of rent is skyrocketing. Man keeps getting throwing the case out when the roommates all show up. Here, I'll tell you the story. I will tell you the story of my second eviction. So I rented a house. Me and my girlfriend at the time had rented a house in Sun Valley. It was a wonderful house. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. It was cheap because it was right off the runway at the Burbank Airport. So airports have a noise abatement. Thank you, Reno. I can't pronounce your name. Right. Thank you very much. So airports have noise abatement, meaning if they're close to a suburban area that they can't fly at certain periods. So in the morning, you didn't need to set an alarm clock because the jets were lined up. I mean, the house almost shook. So that we got it really cheap that way. And by this time, my girlfriend had left and it was just me and my dog. And we were fighting. I was fighting with the landlord. And it turns out, now at the time, I worked in the TV industry. I had a great job in the TV industry, which is probably, 2 miles away, maybe 3 miles away by car. Is it freezing a lot? It looks like it's freezing here. I don't know if there's anything I can do though. So the landlord brother was a DEA agent. I kid you not. And well, Michael, go down below. There's a link. You can buy the shirt. There's a couple different versions from it. Not freezing. Good. It is freezing on my end. So I'll try to tell this. I know I break up into little tangents here. I'm going to try to finish this story. I promise. How much you think I can do it? Think I can do it without any? Here, I can't look at the chat. So the landlord's brother was a DEA agent. If you are aware of this or not, it's illegal for a landlord to change the locks on an apartment or a house without a court order. So I went to work, and when I came home, all the locks were changed. I broke into my own house, and I called 911, and the police were there. They were already right outside waiting. And they illegally evicted me. I remember this like it was yesterday because I could only pack what I could in my car. I lost everything else. And I remember talking to the one police officer saying, this is illegal. You don't have a court order. Because what they said is, you have 30 minutes, pack what you can, you're out of here. You have 30 minutes, pack what you can, you're out of here. And they got guns and I don't. So I remember talking, I was in, and well, first off, they slammed me down with handcuffs and everything. Then, they knew it was me. They knew, it was a setup. So I'm reliving all the emotions, just like I said with the eviction, the film we're doing. I remember saying to the police officer, this is illegal. You don't have a court order to evict me. And he looked at his watch and he said, now you have 29 minutes. So I grabbed what I could and I got out of there. I had no choice. This was at the time of Rodney King. So I thought that maybe if, I raised a little stink the next day, that, because LAPD was under a lot of heat. They're under a lot of heat now. A lot of it is valid. And sorry, I'm reliving this, right, as we talk. And the desk sergeant or whoever they connected me to said, you're out. I can't put you back in. What do you want? And that was, I was so powerless. I'm going to get emotional. I was so powerless. Now, I was lucky that I was able to quickly find, there was somebody that was a friend at work that had a 1-bedroom and that knew the landlord and they were moving out. So I didn't spend a night on the streets this time. I was able to pack up what I could in my car and drive to this new 1-bedroom apartment. But it was just such a horrible feeling. And the first time being evicted, since we're talking about it, and I learned a lesson on this one. Oh my gosh, did I learn a lesson? Is me and my girlfriend, we rented a duplex. And the person next to us, a couple, we had a great relationship to start, but the person was dying. He was terminally ill. And these are true stories, God's honest true stories. And he got in a fight with my girlfriend at the time. And for whatever reason, he wanted to cause us pain. So he would park his car so that we wouldn't be able to get out of the driveway, so we wouldn't be able to go to work. He would do stuff like that. And we would talk to the landlord about it. And the landlord wouldn't do anything. So what I did is I stopped paying rent. I put it in escrow, which I do not I do not recommend people do. I do not, because we lost. And gosh. So all of a sudden it became this war between the landlord, the other person in the duplex, and us. And then it went to court. And the judge ruled against, and I swear to God, maybe this, you know what? I fight for truth. There's something about truth that I will even risk. The truth is so important to me. It is. So here was the judge and the landlord and this other. By now, the landlord went on. She went on a campaign to hurt me and Lisa for years. In fact, later on, I ran into her husband, now ex-husband, and she says, "Oh my God," he said, "Gosh, my ex-wife was really out to get you," and she was. And people with money can always abuse people without money. That's why we need to advocate for those who don't have a voice. So very, very important. Anyways, what happened to me and Lisa is we're about ready to be, have the sheriffs come and remove us to the streets, and we didn't have any place to go. So a bankruptcy will stop an eviction, or at least it did in California law back then. And so Lisa and I did a bankruptcy, which was a dumb move. We didn't have any other choice, but that bankruptcy ended up hurting me far more than an eviction would for years and years and years and years. But yeah, that was my 2 evictions. And then, I lived in a church for a long, 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 long time, a church shelter. And if they didn't like you, they would just roll you up. They would just roll you up. And I swore I would never be in a situation again where the person would have that much control over where I live. And I might have talked about this earlier. So, the heat and air has been kind of going off and on here. And I'm scared. I'm scared to contact my landlord. I'm scared to contact my landlord to tell them there's something wrong in the apartment, which they have to fix. And it's in my head because I was homeless and I have this fear of becoming homeless again. So anyways, I went off on 2 stories. Just as I wanted to just say thank you. Thank you all that helped donate to Evicted. It really means the world to me. I know it means the world to Luciana. And we're hoping to start shooting in May. And we're going to hopefully have the film done in August. That's really aggressive, but it is very, very much important. The other thing, so did you guys watch, what did you think about Homeless New York City or Feed the Streets New York City? What did you think about that? Which is, let me gear that up. I always gear it to the wrong thing. Oh, I don't know if I put Tony's story. So I think I did. I must have put Tony's story. I must have. So what did you think of that video? Hey, DJ Star, you know what? Bob Wells and Cheaper Living, I think that's awesome. I know a lot of people live off the grid or live mobile homeless. I can't. I'm 61 years old. I'm having health issues. we haven't talked about it in this stream. So I'll go ahead and it turns out my blood clots are hereditary. I can't even pronounce what I have. Luckily, I do have a good doctor who has been relentless of sending me to tests, but he wanted to get to the truth. And the truth is that my parents, who I never met, I was adopted, passed on a gene to me that at an older age, and I just turned 61, my blood's going to clot. As you guys already know, last summer I almost died from pulmonary embolism because I had multiple clots in my lungs. Just this month, I had a clot in my leg, which has now gotten better, but I have one in my arm right now. I even forgot what point I was trying to make there. Well, I know what point I'm trying to make. So tomorrow's not promised. It isn't. I know people say that, so cliche, but oh my God, almost everything I've been doing for the last couple of years is based on two things. It's based on my passion to help solve homelessness and creating a legacy. And, invisible people, I'm trying to build it so that it has more impact. But after I'm gone, if I'm gone tomorrow, it'll still go on. And I've done that. Our journalism will go on when you donate. And thank you very much. We just hired a new homeless writer, a woman that lives in a tent. We just hired a new homeless writer. When you donate to us, you're not only helping to educate the public, but you're helping, to hire homeless writers. That's just one of many things we do. We talked about Evicted, the films, the research. We have a webinar coming up this week. There's a lot of cool stuff going on. In fact, so our next Addie keeps, I don't know, I don't want to say threatening. I think it's a promise. Our next mini doc is going to be on the relief bus in New York City. And what's cool about the relief bus is that they engage with homeless people. So the volunteers that are interacting with other homeless people are homeless people. And that's amazing. And, the mini documentary will focus on that. There's something really cool. I can't give you all the details yet, but we're being contracted, I guess contracted is the word, by a college and a healthcare organization to bring out to life some research. So there's some medical research coming out in California, and they've asked invisible people to go around California and bring the stories to life. And that's really, really exciting because research in itself is a snoozer. Unless you're an academic. Academics love research. For me, research, my eyes water, nah. But what's really cool is we're going to bring this research to life in video. We're looking for other stories. You know what? I got top chat selected instead of live chat. I don't want to miss anything. If you guys, on my birthday, I was in Austin, Texas. I made a decision to go to a tent camp or go out. It wasn't a tent camp. It was like an alley where there's probably 30. Oh gosh, it's so heartbreaking. There was about 20 to 30 people, hard to tell, that were living in between dumpsters. There's also a homeless shelter 4 blocks away, 5 blocks away. And I got to tell you, I can't unsee what I saw. So the homeless shelter has a waiting list. And there was people outside waiting to get in to get help. There was a woman crawling on the ground that was in such a state of despair. Just thinking about it gets me emotional. Occasionally, when you do this work, you run into people that are in such horrible condition, they don't even seem like humans anymore. And it's truly heartbreaking. And to be honest, I want to show you that, but I can't because there's something inside me that won't allow it. Meaning I don't have that person's permission. Now, legally, because they're outside, I could legally videotape them or take a photo. Sometimes I do if I'm at a distance and you can't identify the person, and then I can tell the story. But if I do not have their permission, I won't do it. And that's just me. And that's what separates invisible people from all the for-profit YouTubers that are making money on homelessness. And there's nothing wrong with making money. It's the American way, right? But we're about helping people. So I got a couple of interviews, and I got to ask you about something. One of the gentlemen that I ran into, his name is Martin. I ran into Martin 3 or 4 years ago. He agreed to an interview. Martin had been in jail since he was 19 years old for 25 years. He must have done something really bad. But he's done his time, and, you know, the courts say, okay, here you're free to be released. But there's no support for people. And at the time, I thought everybody would go into housing. And Martin told me, no, I wouldn't go into housing. I've been in a box for 25 years. And really hit me. And Martin changed me. And it really hit me that people who have been incarcerated for a long time, and I've met several, they'll go inside, but they're not going to stay in their apartment. So we should create, and this is the same as the indigenous culture in Canada, we should create living spaces that don't feel like boxes if we're going to get them inside. But Martin didn't finish the interview. He started getting emotional and he asked to stop. I never posted it out of respect to him. It was a powerful interview, but I never posted it. I could have. I have hard drives full of interviews that I've never posted out of respect to the person. So I ran into him this time, and he was in a much better mood. He had changed. He's even had a website where they're actually doing similar storytelling to what Invisible People is doing. But here's what I got to ask you, because Martin's got a powerful story. In fact, he went to kill himself. If you know downtown Austin, there's these bridges over the Colorado River. And he had it, and he had jumped off the bridge. And underneath the bridge, there's like a place where, homeless people and, couples make out and, people ride their bikes. And, there's a couple of cops down there on a break. And they saw what they thought was a bag of garbage floating down the river, but it was really Martin. So they went out and they saved his life. And then Martin went into, he was committed for a little while, but he's back out on the streets. He's now going to go into housing. He's up for a voucher, which is all great. But here's the thing. Martin's a meth addict. And he even says in the interview, he was on meth when he committed the crime 19 years ago. But he says, I'm on meth today while I'm interviewing him. He's been outside for 13 years. He's committed no crimes since he's been out. So I'm just wondering, I got to look at his story because some of you are going to love Martin and some of you are going to hate him. I understand that because Martin's a small guy. He did time in prison, not jail, prison. And if you're a small guy in prison, your life's tough, right? I mean, anybody's life is tough in prison. So Martin, when he was talking to me, if you spend 25 years in prison, he went in at 19. So he's developed a toughness, right? So when I'm talking to him, he's fronting me, right? A little bit. I'm tough guy, but he's a big softy. For 25 years, he didn't have love. Anyways, that's one of the interviews that I got that I'll probably try to get up this week. Pete Hunter, that is not true. That is not true. Once a felon who gets support and love and can reintegrate into society changes their life. When a felon gets released from prison, we don't help them. They have no choice but to commit crimes again. That's the difference. Hey, Goat, sorry about your false arrest. So Snow Angel, that's exactly it. The old invisible people, we put up stories no matter what the person said. And it's not that I've gotten away from that. I'm a little more self-conscious because of all the hate that's happening these days. The hate is just so much. So Cara Westerfield, statistically speaking, 1.4 million children under the age of 16 were homeless last year. The average age of a homeless person is 11 years old. If you look at statistics, right, most homeless people are sober. You'll also, if you look at drug use and statistics, most addicts are in housing. Most addicts have apartments. Most addicts live in houses. Most people with mental illness or addiction will never, ever end up homeless. No, it's not a prerequisite. Addiction or mental illness are not a prerequisite for homelessness. Most people that abuse drugs or use drugs, and most people that suffer from mental illness will never, ever, ever, ever experience homelessness. Those are facts. Pete, I understand what you're saying on your record that it's hard to get a job and everything else. Yes, in that context, you're extremely right. No, Kara, I'm glad you brought it up. I mean, those questions, everybody, and we have, if you look at Invisible People, we have posts on that. You can uh, look it up. I mean, it's just it's a myth that people hold on to. Wow, Nay Flago. I'm not pronouncing your name right, but congratulations to your wife for her birthday and that you guys are no longer car dwelling. African mermaid, spot on. I mean, I 26 years off the streets and I'm scared to death about being homeless. Cara, that's true too. And a lot of people don't, when you look at addiction and mental illness, is it a cause or a symptom? So many people end up homeless, and then, I mean, people use drugs to cope. Cara, I hate to give advice, so I don't. What I can tell you is me. I was a drug addict. I was an extreme drug addict. Uh, my parents, while there was a point where I couldn't go to my home, um, I couldn't, my parents wouldn't allow me in the door. They never would not answer the the phone. They didn't totally close down on me. Basically, they kept the door open until I could love myself. Hey, Boney and Mark at South by South by. I was just at South by South White Underbelly. I've met with Mark. I like Mark. The big difference is Mark is doing it for profit. Mark is making money. And again, there's nothing wrong with making money. That's the American way. But Mark is everything he does is for profit. I do like that some of his interviews really bring attention to certain things, but also I have seen firsthand some irresponsibility where people have gotten in trouble. And that's the difference. On Invisible People, we have protocols on the back end that we won't, that work to keep everybody safe. South White Underbelly. Again, Mark is trying to make money, and that's great. I'm not, please, I like Mark. I do. I don't, with South White Underbelly, he's trying to be sensational to get more views, and he's been very good at it, right? And that's him. and that's his thing. I fight that from time to time because I know I could go tell certain stuff. Like, for example, we get together. We haven't, but COVID's getting, where there's less restrictions, but we usually get together in a fancy restaurant. Bunch of homeless people, fancy restaurant. I could make a video of that, and homeless people, fancy restaurant, boom, views, right? People, it would be sensational. I could make that, but by putting a video camera there, it changes. I'm more into the conversations and the relationships with my homeless friends than putting them on YouTube for views. And that's the difference. Kit Kat, I think he was. Hey, Matthew. Hello. He's very professional. I've met with Mark. We've talked on the phone, exchanged a few emails. He's very professional, very talented. So, Addie, that's a great example. And I do wrestle with it. So I went to meet Addie when Addie was actually homeless. It was up in Minnesota. I drove to go meet her. We went to a fancy place of her choosing. I mean, it's as fancy as Addie wanted. It was a wonderful cheese place. But I could have easily, made a video and put it up and gotten views, but it would have changed the dynamic. I've known Addie online in our homeless support group for a long time. Last thing I want to do is say, hey, Addie, nice to meet you. Here's a camera. Say something sensational so we can get lots of views. That's not what we do. We do journalism. We do authentic storytelling. We do mini documentaries and movies and research and education. And we do a lot of stuff to really our one and only goal is working to help solve homelessness. Wow, Camille, great. You remember the actual for 3 months and 17 days. Matthew, that's an interesting question. We're a nonprofit. We're not about getting views and money. That's the difference between many YouTubers, is they're taking the homeless story and they're doing it to make money. And we don't even put ads on our first person interviews because I feel it wouldn't be right unless we can profit share with that homeless person. Thank you, Anonymous. I think it comes down to compromise and integrity. I'm not going to compromise invisible people's integrity to make money. And homeless people priority. So, here's the thing is that what was the Happy Sunday, Aaron? What's the last? We put up Reno's story, right? the last first person interview we put up. It's got 18,000 views in 2 weeks. It isn't a whole lot. I could have shot that or edited it to make it sensational so it would get hundreds of thousands of views, but then it wouldn't have been Reno's story. So what we do is raw, unedited. It's not changed in any way. It's the actual homeless person's story. You may not know this, but the first idea from Invisible People came from a book that I saw in my boss's office. So at its foundation is really art, but second is education and advocacy. And it's important to me. So if I die tomorrow and, Invisible People staff starts running Invisible People and they do something that doesn't have integrity, I'm leaving it to you guys to slap them until they come back in line. Because to me, everything is money is not everything. Money is not everything. And there's no way on YouTube I will ever make enough money, or Invisible People will ever make enough money to house hundreds of thousands of people. But what we can do is educate hundreds of thousands of people to change policies to help house hundreds of thousands of people. Hopefully that makes sense. Claire, most of the money Mark makes, it goes to Mark. And it's a business. That's most of the money Apple makes goes to Apple. Most of the money Best Buy makes goes to Best Buy. Most of the money McDonald's makes goes to McDonald's, right? Most of the money somebody makes usually goes to them, right? Most of the money Invisible People makes goes to help solve homelessness. That's the difference. Hey, Swar. Oh, I thank you for that. Walter, I've got to come visit you. Happy Sunday, Jay. That is not Claire. First off, Mark has now got a subscription model where he's charging people $10 a month. If you go on Instagram and Facebook, there's an agency, Studio 71, that is making a lot of money by using Mark's videos. And I'm not criticizing, right? And most of his videos go to his YouTube channel. They're monetized. Mark complains that a lot of his videos get unmonetized. That's why he has created his own subscription model to get around that for the ones that aren't. He removes them and moves them over. And it's, again, it's just Mark does Soft White Underbelly to make money for Mark. And that is his business model. And that's his thing. I'm not saying that, Bill Gates, well, Bill Gates is kind of retired now, but he probably makes decisions about software. Stock market or different things, right? We live in this country that people make decisions to make money. And that's okay. That's okay. Where it's not okay is when you make those decisions at the risk of other people, and that you put other people's safety at risk, and that you crawl on the backs of poor people to get rich. That is not a good thing. And if you get rich, hopefully you'll give your, like, I think Warren Buffett and Bill Gates and the rest are giving away their money. They've agreed to something where they're giving 50% of their millions away. Matthew, it's interesting that you should say that because I was at I've been to Sudan during the war twice in 2003 and 2005. And I was at Katrina 3 days after Katrina hit. And as I watched the war on TV in Ukraine, I wish I could go to Poland. I don't have the resources to do it, and I don't think I would be much help. I'm old with some medical issues right now. If I was 10 years, 20 years younger, I would do it in a heartbeat. Melinda, most nonprofit, I mean, there's bad McDonald's. I'm a bad McDonald's. That was stupid. Enron, right? You look at any sector, there's bad people. Some people suck. They just suck. And that's in the nonprofit sector too. But most of the people, everyone I've ever met in the nonprofit sector is giving their all to help homeless people. Thank you, Aaron. Hey, Malka. Hello, India. Only me. Who's only me? Cleopup. Now I got to remember all the dogs. Sorry, had to delete my name. I see people get better all the time, but not enough. Hey, Cindy. How are you? That's who I was thinking. Are you in town or are you up in Bakersfield last I knew? Hey, I see somebody? No, I don't know the Lost in Phoenix, but there's a big tent camp in Phoenix that I I'm thinking about visiting. Okay, we are coming up on the end. Hey, Cindy, are you in housing by chance? Because you say in town for good. Noah, thank you. Wow, Melinda. Wow, great. And Walter, it's been too long. Cindy, you're still in your van, but you say for good now. I mean, we got to get you in housing. Lady T was here someplace. Anyways, thank you all for a wonderful evening. Super grateful that you guys all chipped in for helping us fund the movie on eviction. And those of you that just were not able to, I know that some of you prayed, some of you shared. Grateful for all the warm thoughts. It all matters. It really, really, really does. I want to say thank you for Addie, who has been our wonderful moderator tonight. And we hope to see you all next week. Until then, have a marvelous, fun week.